What is this,
Well,
finance?
the race to decide who will be taking the oath of office as Oklahoma's next governor on these steps come next January is a dogfight right now, particularly on the side of the aisle that is heavily favored to win that race. And these campaign donor lists shed a lot of light on who might just be the leader in that pack.
Bumper stickers aren't free, yard signs aren't free, commercials aren't free. If you can't get 100 people off your Christmas card list to give you $1,000 each, do not run statewide.
As former Attorney General Mike Turpin and former Lieutenant Governor Todd Lamb can attest, big politics require big money.
Those that raise the most money have the best shot at winning. Why? Because that money means what? It means getting on television, it means getting on the radio, it means buying newspaper ads, online.
And money-wise right now, there's a definitive big dog in the race to be Oklahoma's next governor, and that's Attorney General Gentner Drummond. His campaign has raised nearly $4 million in the past year, and looking at his donors, they come from big money, like bankers, lawyers, oil and gas interests, and tribal nations. But his most recent reports also show a heavy increase in concentrated donations from certain regulated industries like utility companies, pharmacies, medical marijuana, bail bonds, and horse racing. Many of those donations all arriving in single clusters this past quarter. Drummond's campaign told us, in part, the outpouring of support for Gentner Drummond from every corner of Oklahoma and across many industries is a testament to the job he is doing and the things he will achieve for Oklahoma as governor. Coming in second place in the fundraising race is former House Speaker Charles McCall. He's raised about half as much as Drummond through donations, around $1.5 million. But his campaign has increasingly been depending on McCall's own money. He's loaned his campaign more than $2.6 million and has spent more than he's raised over the past 6 months.
And now we're seeing likes we've never seen really common in Oklahoma, which is self-funding.
They don't have to do retail politics. They can just use their money to buy immediate name recognition.
Now, McCall's fourth quarter reports also initially showed more than 100 donors who did not list an occupation or employer. That's information the Oklahoma Ethics Commission tells us is required under Oklahoma campaign finance law. McCall's campaign told us that was the result of a software glitch, and they did submit an amended report with the occupations listed a couple days later. In a statement, his campaign told us, Charles McCall made a pledge to his voters that he would match every donation he received. His family is as committed to Oklahoma's future as the thousands of volunteers and supporters from every part of Oklahoma who have donated and supported this campaign. Gunning for McCall in third place is Chip Keating, the son of former Governor Frank Keating. He raised just over $1 million in his first quarter since making a late entry to the race.
Not only that this is like, but old school money, it's like pretty crazy, especially about how in Oklahoma is. We are super old and everyone's super old. You may think that our Congress members here currently, or at least people down in Washington, they are like super old. These guys, we are like so out of the loop here that we're like its own country, pretty much. And it's pretty crazy about how old these people think. Like, social media, bad. Everything else, bad.
Last year,
Like,
in that same quarter, though, he also loaned his campaign an additional $2 million of his own dollars. His reports also show something no other campaign comes close to, more than $300,000 in out-of-state donations, largely from Texas and Virginia. We asked Keating's campaign about that. They said, in part, Chip Keating is blessed to have friends and longtime relationships in Oklahoma and across our great country who know Chip's character and believe in him, adding he was proud to make a $2 million investment in his campaign to move Oklahoma forward. Former State Senator Mike Mazzei shows a different pattern. To date, he's raised just under $400,000. After a strong early fundraising period, his donations dropped sharply. After that, he loaned his campaign nearly $3 million. His campaign did not respond to our questions. Those are the four heaviest hitters on the Republican side. There are other candidates, though, whose pockets don't run nearly as deep. Lisa Mitchell Haynes has raised less than $1,000 total, but has reported far more in spending. She told us in part, God told me in third grade I will be a governor someday. In August of 2023, an angel appeared to me and said, now is the time. And in September, I received another anointing. Kenneth Sturgill has raised...
oh man. Oh, that's so cringe.
Don't run.
especially with Mike Mazzy.
Lisa Mitchell Haynes has raised
So
after that, he
let's
loves
see.
No Chip's character and believe in him. Adding,
All these are
proud to make a $2
Republicans.
million investment in his campaign to move Oklahoma forward. Former state senator
Mike Mazzy over here, he's his commercials are pro-Trump, and he's legit got a lot of Trump everything. If you are, Trump, so everything that he does, and he's just like pro-Trump. That's his campaign, is that he's pro-Trump, and that's what he's going to try to run as pro-Trump, so people could win that vote. He's like leaning in of like, hey, I support Trump, you should vote for me.
Mazzy shows a different pattern. To date, he's raised just under $400,000. After a strong early fundraising period, his donations dropped sharply. After that, he loaned his campaign nearly $3 million.
Jesus. And like, he's all over right now. I see nothing but his commercials all over.
Campaign did not respond to our questions. Those are the 4 heaviest hitters on the Republican side. There are other candidates, though, whose pockets don't run nearly as deep. Lisa Mitchell Haynes has raised less than $1,000 total, but has reported far more in spending. She told us in part, God told me in 3rd grade I will be a governor someday. In August of 2023, an angel appeared to me and said, now is the time. And in September, I received another anointing. Kenneth Sturgill has raised $7,000 and spent almost just as much. His campaign did not respond to our requests for comment. Then there's Jake Merrick. He's raised not quite $19,000 and also reports an additional nearly $10,000 in non-monetary, in-kind contributions. That's a term for when people or businesses donate a campaign their time or services rather than money. Among those in-kind donations, his campaign
I mean, to be fair, they are spending so much money that it is probably helping the economy, especially when governors' races of everything else. So it's not terribly bad. But especially with all these ads and TTVs and stuff, yeah, so.
Was a laser resurfacing cosmetic procedure valued at $3,000.
Jesus.
We asked Merrick about it. He told us he did not personally receive the procedure, but rather a plastic surgery clinic donated it as an item to bid on in a silent auction fundraiser for his campaign. In a statement, he also said, other candidates chase big checks from wealthy elites and insiders, often making quiet promises in return. My promises are made only to the people of Oklahoma, and I have kept them. Republican Laura Moreno hasn't raised a single dollar or even filed any campaign reports at all. Independent Billy Wagner also hasn't raised any money. He told us in part, I don't have millions of dollars. What I have is the people, because I am the people. I live and work under the same systems everyone else does. As for the Democrats, they only have one person on the ballot so far. House Minority
Only
Leader
one,
Cyndi
and that
Munson.
it's
Her
Cyndi
campaign
Munson.
has received donations from more individual people than any other candidate.
Cyndi Munson is the only Republican that we, or not Republican, Democrat that we only have here in the state of Oklahoma. The last time we had a Democrat running was Brad Henry.
In the race, regardless of party. But those donations have tended to be smaller, so despite a broader donor base, her campaign hasn't raised nearly as much money as the top 3 Republicans, coming in at just under $700,000. Munson's campaign missed the 4th quarter report filing deadline on January 31st, but did end up submitting it late a couple days later. Her campaign told us, in part, over 86% of our donations come from Oklahoma, and most are just your average working Oklahoman. This is why our campaign for governor is different from any other candidate. We are focused on everyday people who work for a living, not big corporations, millionaires, or extremist politicians. As for what all these numbers could mean for the outcome of this race,
Big politics takes big money.
these experts have one take.
And that's the big thing about what I'm really scared about, especially how Oklahoma's going to be, because like if another one race, at least, because like, I mean, even for being a Democrat, it's scary. As the FDRs, we do, but here, this is something that what will happen to us.
Terrorists is a lie. But to say that all terrorists are Muslims is the truth.
Imagine living in the state where the largest act of domestic terrorism in United States history was carried out by a white Christian man, and still having the absolute audacity to claim that all terrorists are Muslim. That clip was from a meeting last night in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, where the city council voted on whether to approve plans to build a new mosque in the community. And what happened at that meeting and in the weeks leading up to that meeting should scare the absolute out of every single American because it shows what our future will look like as a nation if white people don't get our heads out of our and stop voting for blind bigotry. Let me explain. Despite Oklahoma's current status as a deep red state, Oklahoma hasn't always been super conservative. The state actually has its roots in communism, which is why our first state flag looked like this, and up until the early 2000s, Oklahoma's legislature actually leaned blue. In fact, as recently as 2004, Democrats held a trifecta in Oklahoma state government. But ever since that flip from blue to red, Oklahoma state rankings in pretty much every possible category have been getting worse. Now, in 2026, after 15 years of being controlled by a Republican supermajority, Oklahoma ranks near the absolute bottom for nearly everything. We're 48th in education, 46th in access to healthcare, 50th in air and water quality, and 46th in economic opportunity. But if you were to listen to any of the current Republican candidates for governor in the state of Oklahoma, you would think that Oklahoma ranked near the top on everything and that the only issues facing Oklahoma were Muslim terrorism and the existence of trans kids. Not a single Republican running to be our next governor has put forth any actual plan to improve life for the people of Oklahoma in even one of those issue areas where Oklahoma is failing. They're too busy putting out ads of themselves chopping up phallic bananas to prove they hate trans kids the most and launching investigations to prove that they're the one that hates Muslims the most. Oklahoma is currently at risk of losing half of the hospitals in our state, leaving huge swaths of rural Oklahoma without any nearby hospital. But none of the Republican candidates for governor have managed to find the time to say anything about this serious danger, much less how they'd fix it if elected governor. But they did all have time to violate thousands of Okies' religious freedom by performatively opposing the mosque that was discussed last night. This is what it looks like when voters are manipulated into focusing on manufactured outrage and culture war instead of expecting their elected leaders to actually improve the material conditions of the people they work for. Not that long ago, Oklahoma was the kind of place that took care of its people and expected its politicians to actually give a about the people they serve. Barely 15 years later, and all we expect now, apparently, is that they hate the same people we do. But as our state rankings show, that hatred is destroying the lives of Okies all across the state. And unless white voters in America stop prioritizing their bigotry at the ballot box, that destruction is coming for American families all across the nation, too.
To say that all Muslims,
which is like a very scary thing. So, like I said, it's just crazy. Oklahoma is such a, it makes my state even like more and more angry because like no one is listening and they are just being super dumb. Like, not only that we are in a momentarily of a great economic, but not only that they want to destroy our economic boom, like not only that our stuff is a lot cheaper than everyone else, they want to destroy that. Like, honestly, like it's already hard enough to live as is. That's how cheap we live because that's just how it is. About 9 months ago.
For next year's governor's race, Democratic Minority Leader Cyndi Munson currently serves parts of Oklahoma City. State Representative announced her candidacy on the steps of the state capitol today. The daughter of a single dad who was in the military, Munson was the first in her family to graduate college. She attended UCO on the Oklahoma Promise Scholarship, and she is here today because Oklahoma leaders invested in her.
I'm not what you would call a typical candidate for governor. I work for a living. I pay my student loans. I rent my house, and I know what it is like to live within a budget. I feel the pressure of rising costs of our daily necessities.
Representative Munson says as governor, she will push to bring more funding to our public schools and provide tax relief for the middle class. She also wants to bring a repeal of the abortion ban to a vote of the people and end the political rhetoric currently dividing Oklahoma voters.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name.
I hate ads.
Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. More
insight, more understanding. This is Fox 23 News in Depth with Rick Marino.
For the
first time since she announced she's running for governor, Oklahoma House Minority Leader Cyndi Munson stopped by Fox 23 to talk, unedited, about why she jumped into the governor's race. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nathan Thompson. Rick has the night off. The race to be Oklahoma's next governor got underway early this year with the first candidate announcing all the way back in mid-January. While many Republicans jumped into the race, some of them you've already seen here on In Depth. Tonight we're going in depth with the only Democrat to announce she's seeking the state's highest office. Cyndi Munson joined us recently to talk to Rick about why she's running for governor. It's unedited.
Back up the turnpike and joining me on the program to talk about her campaign for governor is House Minority Leader Cyndi Munson. Thanks for joining me, Leader Munson. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
I usually ask candidates what got them off the couch, but you have been in office for a while.
Yeah.
Why make the jump to governor?
Yes, well, great question. First, I want to say thank you for having me. Great to see you again. Love being in Tulsa. I made the decision to run for governor because I felt like it was really important in this upcoming election cycle that Oklahomans had a choice when it comes to somebody who understands their real life experiences. I sort of joke, and people have described me this way also, as just being a normal person, somebody who knows what it's like to pay rent and put gasoline in your car and buy groceries and understand what the economic challenges are right now in our state and in our country. And I felt like it was really important for a young woman to be a voice for Oklahomans and making sure that all people feel truly represented by the leadership in their state. I have had the great pleasure of serving in the legislature for 10 years. I'm currently the Democratic leader in the House, and I've loved every...
Not only that we do need a Democratic leader in Oklahoma right now, it just sucks that, hey, why not have the FDRs on there, am I right? But, she has my vote. Yes, we can vote. She sounds woke as F. I'm not with it. Tulsa is on crime spree parts. We have a blue mayor. If you vote blue, you're going to have... we have a blue mayor. If you vote blue, that's just a fact. Let's see. For Tulsa... says right here that safety improvements, despite the high rates, violent crime has been the lowest point in 5 years, and car thefts have dropped by 55 since 2020 due to focused police force. So, not only you're dumb, you just be dumb. That crime has been down in 5 years. %. He just likes to fearmonger. You're just fear mongering. I think that's how you spell mongering, yeah.
every second of it. I've worked really hard to connect with people, even those who aren't young women, to make sure they know they're seen and heard and valued. And I wanted to take that on a statewide level. And so earlier this year, I made the decision to run for governor and launched in middle of April.
So let me ask you this, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this. The Democrats did not lose any seats last fall, but the state still voted 77 counties for Donald Trump. How are you approaching that as a candidate?
Yeah, last election cycle, what it showed me was that there is strength in making sure you have strong campaign infrastructure, that you're on the ground talking to constituents about the issues that really matter to them. And yes, while all 77 counties went for the current president, there were plenty of people who didn't vote for him. And quite frankly, they have different opinions on what's going on at a state level. And for us to hang on to all of our seats in both the House and the Senate says a lot about the strength of Democratic candidates and the issues that it is that we're talking about across the state. Again, I've announced in the middle of April, so I have been out on the campaign trail now for 4.5 months. I've been traveling in urban Oklahoma, rural Oklahoma, and the things that I'm hearing about have less to do about partisan issues and more about leaders who understand the everyday lives of Oklahomans. One, concerning education, of course. People are not happy that we're ranked 50th in the nation for public schools. The second thing is health care, especially with recent cuts to Medicaid, and that we know will be hit here in a couple years and will absolutely harm our healthcare system, especially in rural Oklahoma. Folks are really nervous about hospitals closing, services ending, and what they're going to do to take care of themselves and their families. And then, of course, the economy is always an issue that people are worried about. Are we making enough money, in terms of a living wage so that we can pay our bills? Are we able to afford groceries? Things like that are what I'm hearing on the campaign trail already. And it's less to do about being a Democrat or Republican and who's president and the leadership of our state. And I think what we've seen, especially in the last 8 years, but really 20 years with Republican leadership, we have moved to the bottom on every really important list when it comes to the good stuff, and at the top of the list when it comes to the more negative things. And so I think people are ready for change. I feel it. I sense it when I'm on the ground and traveling the state. And so I feel confident, Republicans and Democrats will be confident in supporting me because of the message that I'm sending out there, and it resonates with them because it's their own real life that they're experiencing.
Because the mega's main focus that people are more worried about is Medicaid. And now that they voted for Trump, Medicaid's just knocking everything. Not only that it's going down to the subsidies about how much that we are getting nowadays, it's just kind of crazy. It's because they just want to slash and slash and slash and keep on slashing.
On the eastern tribal side of the state, there is a thirst for a different path. Where do you stand on these tribal issues and moving forward from what has really just been going head to head since the start?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I will say this, the entire time I've been in the legislature, I've had great relationships and partnerships with our tribal leaders across the state of Oklahoma. Many of them have been great mentors to me. They have set the standard on what it looks like to run a government and take care of your people. And there have been long-time relationships between the state of Oklahoma and our tribes. And what we're experiencing today is truly unprecedented. It's not that there have never been maybe some disagreements, but the leaders have always been able to find a way to come together, and the governor of the state of Oklahoma has always understood, really, whether they're Republican or Democrat, the importance of those partnerships, understanding the history of this state and this country. And so, should I become the next governor, I can promise you that there will be strong partnerships and relationships with our tribes. Just recently, an economic impact statement came out from 2023 that the tribes had a $23 billion economic impact to the state of Oklahoma. So they are true partners. But outside of that, they are sovereign.
And it's because of the casino revenue that we get. Because not only that casino revenue that happens, they also have to pay taxes on that stuff. Not only that, it's a federal thing that they have to pay out of pocket for a lot.
Nations, and they should be able to operate that way. Their leaders should have a seat at the table when it comes to the governor. And so I'm looking forward to a new day. I think a lot of people across the state are looking forward to that new day. And it's really disappointing and unfortunate that our current governor just can't quite get there.
Let me ask you kind of a tough question, but I know it's going to happen. I put your name up on that screen. They see that D for Democrat. And there are assumptions of tax raising, woke, You name it, it's all been slung at you. What is your message to those who have seen that D and want to change the channel?
Well, first I'll say I've already accomplished something that many people said was impossible. I flipped a Republican district that was forever held by Republicans. In fact, the former governor, Mary Fallin, was the state representative of House District 85, which is the district that I represent. And the reason I was able to do that was to stand firm in my values, but also have honest, real, open conversations about the...
Because that's not only the thing, because it's not only that we're a nation like that. People don't understand that. Yes, people, because they just don't understand about, oh, you're woke, you're doing this. People hold those values about being, we want to work hard. Yes, but some people need some subsidies. But not only that, these corporations are old money here in Oklahoma. These are a lot of bad things that people just don't understand. What's the situation about this whole thing? Because, she does work hard. She said she works hard of everything else. I'm going to deep dive a little bit more on her. But
areas that we disagree on, but getting to a place where we have common ground. That's why it's so important for me, even as I'm running for governor, that I'm on the ground talking to Oklahomans face to face. It is unfortunate that we see a political party affiliation and we automatically make certain assumptions, but what I would want people to see is know who Cyndi Munson is. I was raised by a single father who is in the United States Army, who worked multiple jobs to make sure that my sister and I had the best quality of life, and we went to great public schools in Lawton, Oklahoma. I was able to go to college. I'm the first in my family to go to college because of Oklahoma's promise. I have a master's degree. I have worked in the nonprofit sector. So I'm doing things that everyday Oklahomans are doing as well. And so, it's up to me and it's up to voters to get to know each other. But I put out an effort every single day to make sure that I'm on the ground talking to people and talking about the issues that are important to them. And that's what I'll take throughout the campaign. And should I become Oklahoma's next governor, I will bring those issues to the governor's mansion.
So let me ask, because we still have a year between the election date. There's some work that needs to be done in the legislature. The 50th ranking is very upsetting I've heard from the business community. What is done now so we don't waste one more year of childhood?
That's a great question, and it is a huge concern amongst families and business leaders and folks who care about the future of our state. And I would say, people, they want to skirt around this issue, but at the end of the day, it is a funding issue. We're $1.6 billion behind regionally when it comes to financial investment for our schools. We are behind regionally, last in the region for teacher pay and support pay. So teachers are leaving the classroom, our classroom sizes are growing. So we've really got to figure...
Not only that Oklahoma has an economic boom, but we're also being moved in a lot of people from California, people from going into higher states. We are still the lowest. And, not only Oklahoma, Nebraska, and I think Ohio are still, I believe it's Ohio, that I'm maybe misconstruing on that. That not only that we're the good type to raise a family and everything else, it's just our education, and it's just our teachers. Not only our teachers are getting left behind, but there is a woke test here in Oklahoma, so you don't have to. So when you become a teacher, it's so bad that teachers are leaving so bad here in Oklahoma that you don't even need any schooling. As long as you're old enough, you can easily just become a teacher. That's how bad we need teachers desperately here.
To be courageous enough. I need my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to be courageous enough to push forward a plan that puts more funding into public schools and increases pay for our teachers. There were plans on both sides of the aisle in both chambers to make sure that happened, but because the governor was so adamant about getting our income tax, finding a pathway to zero, those plans did not move forward because there was fear that he would veto any budget that had increases like that. And so I hope we can push past that. We do not want Texas taking our teachers. We want to keep those teachers here in our classroom. The second thing I would say is we've really got to figure out a way to help working families. If you want parents to join the PTA and sit and read with their kids after school, they can't work multiple jobs. We've got to increase our wages. We have to make sure that families are truly taken care of so they can be with their kids, so they can be a part of the educational opportunities.
And the bad thing is, asking for more increased wages, people are going to be more upset. But not only that, these whole things, especially that Trump's doing all these tariffs, not only that these things are going to be higher more into the future, it's even going to be even more crazy and more, even, I don't understand how people are not getting this. they don't want to increase wages. They just rather stay the same. They're like, oh, that means we're going to pay more of a higher tax. We're still going to be paying more of a higher tax no matter what. Even if we don't increase wages, we're still going to have to pay for anything, such as subsidies, such as groceries, gas, electric, anything, because they're not only that's going to increase everything else, but except for wages here in Oklahoma.
And success of their children. Parents want to do that, but they can't do that when they have financial stresses and they're pulled in a million different directions. We know that, you know, when families are helping with a child's educational success, it's always there are always better outcomes. But we can't do that when we put so much stress and pressure, especially financial, on our families.
Leader Munson, I'm out of time. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Rick is also
Crazy. Cyndi Munson. Let's see what he has to say.
What's happening in Oklahoma? I'm going to presume that you already know that one of the biggest podcasts in the world emanates from right here in Oklahoma City. It's called I've Had It, hosted by Jennifer Welch and Angie Sullivan. Pumps. You already know? Good. Well, they have a news offshoot of the podcast called iHip News. And on Saturday, they hosted Oklahoma Democratic gubernatorial candidate Cyndi Munson. They talked for 25 minutes about what it will take to crack the red seal here in Oklahoma. And House Leader Munson told them about her path to winning District 85 as a Democrat and her roots from Southwest Oklahoma. For those of you who know me more as a digital news and content consultant, shout out to my company, Doable Digital Media, I've long said that the left had to get better on the platforms that really count in 2025 and beyond, specifically audio, podcasts, vertical video, and newsletters. This is what I call the You Are the Media Now trifecta, and there is nobody on the left who does it better than I've Had It. Nobody. They're funny, sharp, and oh my God, would I never want to be roasted by Jennifer. Now, to find this episode, you're going to want to search for iHip News and look for the episode called Trump Red States Are Fed Up with MAGA, Liberal Candidates Takeover. Be sure to share this video with your liberal friends. And
that's the whole thing, too. Like, not only a Democratic candidate, they have to be stronger and they have to sound strong, because it's going to be like what happened with Kamala. Kamala sounded strong, but she wasn't leaning on those strong values. These strong values for everything that had. Of course, that Kamala was going to be the better president other than Trump, but Trump also, not only he fear-mongered, he also, not only that he victim blamed, but he also had those strong values of like saying, hey, I know what to say. Not only that he's a businessman, he knows what to say and say what the poor people want and what the heart of the people want. You want money? I'll give you money type shit. And that's the whole thing. And I feel like that's one thing that nobody really wants to, that doesn't understand. But Cyndi Munson, I think she needs to be a little bit more stronger candidate in everything else.
I'm Cyndi Munson, and this seemed like the right place to start my campaign for governor. Because for me, a truck like this is where new journeys begin. Growing up, I moved 10 times, all in the same small town. I was raised by a single dad who worked multiple jobs while serving in the United States Army so that he could support my sister and me. But money was always tight, and that meant loading up Dad's truck over and over again, chasing cheaper rent. When you move a lot, you learn what's important, and you hold on tight to the things you value most. This box is full of my most cherished memories. I took it with me, place to place. And what I carry with me is why I'm running for governor. Memories of growing up in Lawton, becoming the first in my family to graduate from college, letters from young women I've mentored through Girl Scouts and in juvenile detention. All of this guided me to a career in public service. And here's a photo of my dad and me when I won my first election. He's always been on the front row, cheering me on. I won a tough legislative race by
That's cool, but she needs to be stronger, and that's the whole thing that needs to happen is being stronger. If you're not being stronger, especially like here, well, we'll look at that in a little bit. Um,
Think safety.
well, of course.
For trusted products to lock, anchor, contain, and protect. Granger.
Count on it for so many. I count on it for so many things. I mean, it quite literally it keeps me out of a nursing home.
Suzanne Collins just celebrated her 63rd birthday last week. But the only thing on her mind this week has been hearing Oklahoma's governor say he wants to make adjustments to the very thing that is helping keep her alive.
If you didn't have Medicaid, if they took it away from you, what would happen?
I'd die. I quite literally would die.
Talks of sending Medicaid expansion back to a vote of the people sparked controversy amongst lawmakers Monday during Governor Kevin Stitt's last State of the State address.
It's driving massive spending growth while enabling waste. In 10 years, Medicaid is projected to eat up 37% of our annual budget, $6 billion. We have to make a change.
Not only the House representative looks gross, he just looks gross.
I'm glad the governor referenced Medicaid. Everything that those of us who publicly
He looks like a salamander. You are salamander. I'll call you Sammy the Salamander because you just look like a salamander.
It's happening.
But Democratic leaders say it's not good to reverse the will of the voters.
I think the people of Oklahoma want access to health care for everyone in our state that needs it. They specifically added working Oklahomans to that Medicaid list, and I think there's a reason for that.
This is why subsidies are what we do. This is what we pay taxes for, and this is why we pay taxes. Think of taxes are like insurance. We pay these governments for all these things that we can qualify, because not only that we do pay taxes, not on groceries, on gas, even everything from fast food to everything. There's always a tax because we are paying those taxes. Even if you do pay your taxes, we still pay those taxes.
Process Amber England says has been stressful. She helped lead the charge of getting the Medicaid expansion state question on the ballot in 2020.
It had been nearly a decade that we had been trying to get this through the legislature, and politicians just refused to act. And so the people took it upon themselves to go to the ballot and fix this issue for themselves.
She says not only has Medicaid expansion benefited thousands of Oklahomans in need, but also rural communities.
We also helped save rural hospitals and brought back billions and billions of dollars of our tax dollar money that was going to other states.
She's worried Governor Stitt wants to take this away.
He's going to close rural hospitals, and he's going to rip health care away from hundreds of thousands of hardworking Oklahomans. And it's fiscally irresponsible on its face, and it's quite frankly cruel.
Causing some, like Collins, to rethink where they want to spend the remaining years of their lives if Medicaid is cut.
Quite honestly, I think I would move out of state. I really do. I would tell them to not only think about the little kids that depend on this.
Why do I feel like I should voted for Kevin Stitt and Trump?
But to think about us old people too, you know, how many of us would survive?
In Oklahoma City, Tanner De Leon, Oklahoma's News 4.
Crazy. We're still focused on school choice, tax credits, and SNAP funding.
Meet Niles Knurk. He's the owner of Gurney's. They're a seed company.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing
Stupid.
over.
Let's see what the comments have to say for that video. You voted for it, you got it. Now just sit back and enjoy the ride. And yet you keep giving the wealthiest people tax cuts. Stitt is doing too much to VE leaving office. Haven't seen him this much in his entire term. Well, you commonly vote for people that you do not have the interest in common people. 1 in a million and billionaires are only millionaires and billionaires. This is expected. Definitely going into the red expensive. Sorry, I don't know what happened. How many of us would survive? They don't want you to survive. Shameful. It's gonna happen. Trump told you he would do this. You voted for him. You suck it up. You made bad choices. Yeah. Did they say anything? Oh. Fake news. There's so much money in Oklahoma that we're getting rid of the pot. Man, why don't we use it? Oh, wait. Stitt said he wanted it because he's a money whore. Because that's the thing. He is a money whore. Crazy.